Hello, everyone. Great to see you all. Lovely people in the chat, as always. Hey, Aubrey. Always a pleasure to see your lovely face. And Jeff, too. And who else have we got? And we've got the Discord master or mistress, is it? I don't know which you would say, actually. The Discord aficionado, Miss Keely Dunn. Yeah, these hour changes. I wish we could all just agree on a time and either everyone change all at the same time or not. But you bring up a good point there, Keely. Obviously, that New Zealand have got to have got to go the opposite way because they're saving going the other way around. So one of the things that I do is in this company where we are building this trading platform, and one of the partners is in New Zealand. Database guru is in the UK. I'm in Thailand. Another partner's in Thailand. We're working with a data provider who's in Singapore, which is Refinitiv. But they've also got developers working on their side that are in India, and our developers are in Pakistan. So I'm managing all of these different time zones. And yeah, some people are going forward, some people are going back. And India is not on the hour. They're like 2.5 hours behind me or something like that. And for some reason, the half hour always catches me out. I mean, I like to think that I'm quite good at maths. I mean, this whole trading thing is all about, algorithmic trading. But somehow, taking away 2.5 hours still catches me out somehow. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not good at my 2.5 times table. Anyway, great to see you all. I know. Well, I think we're kind of in agreement on the on the Stream Deck and the Loupe Deck, or rather on the Loupe Deck in particular. So I am going to do a bit of a sort of comparison, and I am going to be chopping the beginning off this again. So I guess I should say, in today's live stream, we are going to be looking at the Stream Deck and the Loupe Deck, and I'm going to be sort of comparing the two. I've had quite a lot of usage out of the Stream Deck, and I've had the Loupe Deck now for around about 6 months, but only probably about 2 months of usage out of it. So I'll come on to that as well. But I'll go over basically why I like them, what I like about them, and where I see their sort of strengths are, because they are, although very similar devices, they have got some things that are, that one does better than the other. So I'm essentially copping out here because I'm just using the two of them. So here's my my Franken deck with my Loupe Deck and Stream Deck, just sort of held together with one of these iPad mini stands, or my iPad mini stand. It's an iPad stand, but that just sort of keeps them nicely together. So I suppose I should say, for anybody, I know that everyone in the chat at the moment knows what these are, but they're both devices that are basically USB devices that plug into your Mac or PC, and they allow you to basically control things with the different keys that you've got on here, and all the keys are basically programmable. Some people say it's just a keyboard. That's all it is. It's a USB keyboard. I think it's a little bit more than that, because you can't really program it in quite the same way as you can with a regular keyboard. You can sort of do it, but there's a bit of a workaround. So I do see this as a lot more than that. It is an automation tool, amongst other things, and it's a control device for your computer. Main differences between them are: the Stream Deck has basically these buttons, which are hard buttons that you can press in, actual physical buttons that push in and go clunk to a certain point when you push them in. And the Loupe Deck has a screen on it where the buttons are basically touchscreen buttons. I'll come on to the reservations I had about that and why I was wrong in a moment about that. But the Loupe Deck also has something else, which is it's got these dials on as well. So I've just realised how terrible the lighting is here, but I think you can see this. So this has got these sort of dials that protrude out as well. The buttons, whoops a daisy, look at that, I just pressed the button. I was just about to say you don't accidentally press the buttons, but then I just accidentally have. So I've kind of shown you one of the potential issues with it there. But this one, this touchscreen thing here, you've got the dials down here, but then there are these buttons here that are physical buttons as well. So I'll just cover the different models as well, just in case there is anyone new to Stream Deck and Loupe Deck who's watching this. Again, I know that you all lovely people in the chat are familiar with this, but I'll just quickly go through the differences. Oh, sorry, the different models, I should say. So Stream Deck started out with this one, the 15 key. And by the way, the one that I'm using here is the Stream Deck XL, which we'll come to in a moment. But this is the original Stream Deck, and it had 15 keys. And then they brought out a larger version, which is the Stream Deck XL, and the mini version, the Stream Deck Mini. So this one's got 32 keys, and this one has 6 keys. The thing that was different as well about these, apart from the size, this one was kind of like stood at a sort of relatively flat angle on the desk. There was a kickstand that sort of comes with it, but it always felt a little bit sort of flimsy to me personally, not particularly sturdy. There you go. And it just looked like a bit of an add-on, really, not in line with the quality of the actual device itself. So with the Stream Deck XL and the Stream Deck Mini, they had this sort of molded base to them. Now, the Stream Deck does actually just pop off that, in fact. So if I just quickly show you, this, by the way, is just sitting on the base of the iPad stand. But this does actually detach from the base. Yeah, pretty hard to pull it out actually now that I've got it all wired in. So that was the big sort of change with the Stream Deck XL and the Stream Deck Mini. The other thing was the cable actually unplugs from the Stream Deck, so it's a USB-C into the device, and then a regular USB going into your computer dock wherever it's going. Whereas with the Stream Deck original, it was just sort of hardwired in. So that was the sort of main difference with these. So then they brought out the Stream Deck Mark II, which is basically the sort of similar concept to the other Stream Decks, to the XL and the Mini, where you've got this sort of molded base to it. So it's got this similar sort of look, although it doesn't actually detach from the base. So it's got different faces that you can put onto it, but you are then stuck with it at that particular angle rather than the XL, which can either be flat or not. And I'll just pop this up because I always do on my live streams. And if anyone fancies popping in for a chat about this later, I'll stick up my my join link. So that is the Stream Deck. Let me come to this one. In fact, I was just not quite sharing that right screen, was I? That's what I meant to be sharing. Here we go. So that is the XL. That is the Mini, and then the Stream Deck Mark II basically had this this base, but like I say, you couldn't change the angle of it. Now, the Loupe Deck has been around in one form for quite some time, and it was in this form, which was basically all sort of hard buttons, so not programmable as such, and they were just looking like this. So this was primarily for sort of video editing and photo editing. So you've got things in here to adjust like color and things like that. They're all basically so it's just designed for photo editing, video editing, and things like that. So that is the original Loupe Deck, and it was called, what was it called? Loupe Deck Plus. But then they relatively recently, just last year, brought out the Loupe Deck Live, which is this one, which is the one that I've got on my my setup as well. And then we've also got the Loupe Deck CT, which is basically, whereas the Stream Decks, you've got different sizes of Stream Deck, and they're essentially exactly the same. You've just got more buttons, either 6 buttons, 15, or 32. Whereas the Loupe Deck Live looks like this, the one that I've got on my desk. But then the Loupe Deck CT is kind of like the Loupe Deck Live, but with some different additional functionality added onto the bottom of it. And it's got this big wheel down here, which you could use for like a sort of jog wheel, if you like, in your editing timeline, or for other controls that you want to. And all these dials, by the way, are totally programmable, so I'll come on to that in a little while. But then, yeah, I couldn't see a use for this particularly myself, so I just went with the Loupe Deck Live, and these are just sort of fixed buttons. So I saw the advantage of having all of this sort of. I like it where you can actually see the logo of what it is, or the icon rather of what it is you've created that you've put onto your devices. So we're talking about that in a little while as well. But that is the three Loupe Deck Live and the 3, or I suppose 4 of the Stream Deck. And yeah, so that's what I'm using. I'm using the XL and the Loupe Deck Live. So let's have a little look at, well, first of all, I suppose I should tell you a little bit about my usage of them, because I've been using the Stream Deck XL for around about just near coming up to a year. It was basically about 15th of look at that, about, and then I give you a precise date. It was around about the middle of April last year that I got it, and it was when I was looking to start my YouTube channel. My first video on my YouTube channel was on the, I think, 14th of May, and so I'd sort of spent a month beforehand planning and getting everything ready for that. And one of the things I did was bought the Stream Deck, thinking that what I would use it for is for controlling Ecamm Live to make all of my videos. I didn't realize at the time of buying it just what a massive, this is an overused term, but game changer the Stream Deck would be for me, because it's just become an integral part of my productivity, not just with my, making my videos and things like that, but just in general in day-to-day use on the computer. It's been quite a revelation, and I'm so pleased I got it. I'm also pleased that I went for the XL. I did try the mobile app first of all, so I should also mention there is a mobile app available that you can try out, and it's available on a subscription basis, but there is a free trial. So I got the 30-day free trial of the mobile app, and then basically to try out the concept, of Stream Deck and how you program it and all that sort of stuff, because you basically work with exactly the same desktop app, which I'll be coming on to shortly, and you work with that exact same desktop app to program what all of the buttons do and so on. And so I tried out the mobile app first, thinking, well, if I give this a go for 30 days, and if I like it, I'll get the device. I tried it out for about a day, and then on day 2, I was like, right, I'm getting this. So I bought the XL, and it's one of those things. I think a lot of people get the smaller version and then realize that it can do more than they thought. Obviously, don't want to make any assumptions about budgets and things like that, and maybe some people don't have all the use for it, but I'm just pleased that I went for the larger version, because certainly what I was originally doing with Ecamm, I thought, well, probably I could get away with, just 10 buttons, so the 15 should be enough. But then when I realized all these other things, and as you can see, basically this is my Ecamm setup now for this video. So this is like all of these things I use pretty much throughout the live stream and things like that. So it is good to have all of this space personally. I used to have it on my Stream Deck spread out over 2 different sort of screens, 2 pages of, in fact, I still have got 2 pages. There you go. So I used to have my things spread out over 2 pages, but now having the Loupe Deck, it's been good to just be able to add some into there. So I don't really have to sort of change pages during a recording or during a live stream. But I digress. The point is, I was really pleased that I had went for the larger version, because you probably will find that you have you find a use for them all. Then I got the Loupe Deck Live. I just looked at my video because I think I said in a video I made the other day or in a live stream or something, I said I think I got it around about December, but then I didn't start really using it properly until February or something like that. It was actually the 31st of October was my Loupe Deck Live unboxing, and I did the unboxing, I plugged it in, and it sat on my desk and didn't do anything for 3.5 months. It was literally sitting on my desk, and I just wasn't using it. Actually, I tell a lie, I was using it a little bit there was a built-in thing for Photoshop. So on some of the brushes and stuff like that in Photoshop, I'd use the dials to adjust the size because it was quicker than doing it another way. But generally, I didn't go in and program it or do anything with it. And this is quite strange for me because I'm a bit of a tech nerd, and I tend to just jump onto things and immerse myself in them and try and figure them out. That's the way that like the way that I learned Ecamm Live, the way that I learned everything really is just go and try everything, try all the menus, try all the buttons, look at all the preferences, go through everything sort of systematically until I sort of know it inside out. And I'll do that in a matter of, like if I get a new piece of software, then I feel like I'm up to speed on it usually pretty quickly within like a couple of days or something like that. So it's really weird that I didn't do that with the Loupe Deck, and especially as it's like a hardware device as well. So it's not just software, but it's like this hardware device. The build quality of it is brilliant. It looks really nice. It feels really nice. It's a really great piece of tech. So why did I not? Why did I not actually pick it up sooner or actually start using it when I'd paid for it and it was sitting like literally in front of my face every single day? It's quite strange. I'll come on to that though when I come on to talking about the user interface. Speaking of build quality though, I will just sort of talk about this. They're both really well-built devices. This one has got more of a sort of metallic feel to it. Whoops a daisy. There you go. Now you see, I was going to tell you about how the touchscreen isn't a problem because you don't accidentally press the buttons, but today I've done it twice, so I'll come on to that a bit later. But yeah, so the feel of this, it feels it's certainly a lot smaller. It's a lot thinner as well. It's perhaps you can't see because it's in this. This is part of the stand that it's in. But this is basically like I don't know, half an inch thick, something like that, a centimetre and a half, something. Whereas the Stream Deck is much bigger. This is quite hard to see, isn't it? But this is a much fatter device. This one is the size that it feels like I could throw it into a laptop bag or something like that. And not only does it feel like it would survive being thrown about a little bit, because it does feel quite sturdy, the dials as well feel particularly sturdy as well. The Stream Deck feels very solid, but it feels like a brick basically. So I wouldn't feel as comfortable about like, oh, I'm just going to throw this one in like a laptop bag or something like that. I have taken it with me when I was traveling, but it was kind of like it was in my case and not something that I could easily have. Whereas, like I say, this one is really a lot more compact, really. The actual functioning of them, though, they both feel great. I mean, these buttons feel solid. Like if I press this button here to say, don't forget to like and subscribe. It just really does feel like a nice feel to the Switch. Similarly, all of the buttons here feel really good, and the dials as well have just got a really nice sort of tactile feel to them. These are, by the way, I'll come on to it, but these are controlling volume. So this is my volume in my headphones as I turn that up and down. This one's controlling my mic level, so as I turn that one down, it should be turning my mic volume down for you, or mic level down for you. And they've got just a really nice feel. There's a bit of a ratchet to them, so you can actually feel the dial sort of clicking as you're moving them around. Just realised something's in the way there. What's that? There we go. So yeah, they both feel really solid and well put together. But this one is just significantly more compact. Now, I will come onto the screen because this is one thing where these are hardware buttons. They are all, in fact, individual screens. So all of the icons there are icons that I've created for my Ecamm Live profile. But these are all basically a button with an individual little screen in it. So you can actually change what's on here. And in fact, if I just come out of this for a moment, you can see if I go to my little home screen, we've got different icons there. So we can sort of change around. This one's the same. Here, you have to set a button to switch profiles to change between these different views. I've got a whole video. In fact, it's one of my most popular videos, which is all about profiles on Stream Deck. And in fact, it blows everything else out of the water. I think my highest number of views on any of my videos is around about 3,000, but my one where I said I was wrong about profiles is 12,000 views. So it's definitely my most viewed video on YouTube. But it's basically because when I started using Stream Deck, I organized everything hierarchically in folders, because that's the way my mind works from a sort of file management point of view. So I thought, right, well, that's the way to do it. And then I realized that actually doing things with profiles was probably a better way to go. And so a profile is basically just like this that I'm in now is a profile. This is my Ecamm Live profile, and you can have multiple pages on a profile. So I've got another page over here with some other things. But then I can come out of this profile and go back to my home one. So it's just basically like another set of controls. But the reason why this is, I'm probably getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The reason why this works better than folders, though, is because you can actually just set these links to jump between different profiles. So I'll come onto that a little bit later because I do feel I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. But basically, the way that you sort of navigate between your different sets of buttons is by pressing a sort of button to go between them. Whereas on on Loupe Deck, you can sort of swipe across to go to a separate set of buttons within this view, rather than needing a button itself to sort of switch between them. So this is an entire touch screen, but there is actually some little divisions on it. So you've got these little sort of plastic lines going across, and I've just done it again. Do you know what? All of the time I've been using this, I haven't actually inadvertently touched it, but I suppose it's because now I'm just sort of demonstrating it and doing things that I wouldn't normally do. But certainly, it is, I've just realized there is something definitely in front of that camera, isn't there? Hang on a minute. some weird little black spot in front of this. Never mind. Yeah, the touchscreen. I was worried that I would inadvertently touch buttons, and although I've done it 3 times today in normal use, when I'm not just sort of putting my hands all over it, it doesn't really happen. So that was probably something that I was worried too much about. That wasn't really an issue. The other thing I thought was, are you going to inadvertently touch the wrong buttons? So with them, it just being a touch screen. But like I say, because it has got this sort of grid across it, then there is something there to stop you from like inadvertently pressing the one next to it. So like this one here takes this on and off. And so I'm not going to touch the one next to it because of this sort of line there. So that was something that probably wasn't something I needed to worry about too much. But I do miss the sort of clunk of the button to know that you have actually pressed it. Obviously, you see the result of it. If I'm, something like this, taking this one on and off, I can obviously see the result. But it's not quite the same as having the push of the button. There is actually, I've turned it off, but there is this sort of haptic feedback, so it will vibrate and give a little like woo when you press the button. But that to me is just like, it came through on the mic. It was just really annoying, actually. And although you had some level of control over it, I think, there was still no way to get it to stop coming through. And so every time you'd press it, you just get this sort of loud vibration noise coming through from it. So I found that pretty useless, really, certainly for recording. So I just turned it off. You've also got, I quite like the way that with the dials, you've also got, as well as these sort of dials here, you can change you've basically got sort of pages of dials. If I swipe up, then I've now got another 6 sets of controls. So now this is for controlling my guess 1, 2, 3, and 4 on interview mode. And if I swipe down on it, then now I've got a whole different set of controls for this. So you're not just limited to 6, you can actually have multiple sort of different pages of them. So there is obviously clearly some extra functionality that you've got in the Loupe Deck that you haven't got in the Stream Deck with these dials, and they have come in pretty useful, really. So what I thought I'd do is just have a look at the actual the software and compare the software, because this really is coming into why I had a little bit of friction, shall we say, in terms of getting up and running with it. But I'll just quickly come back and just check on the comments. You got the faceplate, but customized. Nice, smart thinking. There was something else I saw on Etsy. I tell you, the one that I saw on Etsy, which really made me laugh, was if there's a button that you like say your end live stream, you can get a faceplate that goes over the top of it that's got one of those little things to protect the switch so that you don't inadvertently flick it. Let me just have a quick look for it, because it was quite amusing. Let's see. I can't type and talk at the same time, but I'll try and find this because it was quite an amusing little thing. And having pressed the button on my Stream Deck several times wrong, I did find another way around this, but it did make me laugh. So here you go. This is the emergency button that covers up one of your Stream Deck buttons. So like when you want to end your live stream, you have to flick up this little one here first. I thought that was quite a genius idea. So let me have a little look. Where are we? Oh, hello, Joanne. Nice to see you. What was it, Daisy? Where's it gone? There you go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the feedback. I spent a while actually animating my little intro that I did, which I now don't use. I still use it on my live stream because I feel it sort of punctuates the end of the actual titles, or the countdown. So this one here. I spent quite a while animating that in Keynote. And now I've decided it is totally superfluous to requirements, so I'm taking it out of. I'm not just stopping using it in my videos, but I'm actually going back through all of my old videos, and I'm going to take it out and see if it makes a difference with retention rates in my videos. But thank you very much, I appreciate that. I'm not dropping the logo, just that animated title thing. I know it's the breaking news. It's the breaking news. Alec is a tech nerd. I didn't glue the base of them, no, but it sort of sticks quite well because the the Stream Deck's got these little rubber feet on it anyway, and the base of that thing is pretty big. So I find that if I've just turned it down and couldn't find my button. So no, I've just basically it's just sitting on the bottom of that base. There we go. It's just sitting there like that. But it does seem to stay there, and with it in this sort of position, then as I'm pushing it, it's kind of like held in place by the Loupe Deck as well. So it doesn't ever sort of move from there. These two are pretty solid, and that state actually. The stand actually is a pretty solid and heavy stand as well. I'll drop a link to that in the description after, because it is it's a pretty decent stand. I've got another one coming for my iPad, because that's what this was originally for, and then I realised it would be perfect for the Loupe Deck. So that's what that is. Let's have a little look. Yes, that's the one who made your white one as well. Yeah, it's pretty good as a to prevent you ending your live stream early. I've since done that with. In fact, actually, what I've done now, what I did do was I was looking for some crazy way to automate this, over-engineering it as I often do with using Keyboard Maestro to basically allow me to double tap the button on Stream Deck to end my live stream, so that I didn't inadvertently press it. Like just once, so I have to press it twice. And then somebody in the Ecamm group mentioned about just create a folder, although I don't use folders, but for this case it works really well. Create a folder on your Stream Deck, and then within that folder, in the same position as the folder, you have your end live stream button. So in that case, when you want to end your stream, you have to hit the folder button and then hit the end button. So it adds that double stop security. What I've actually done now, though, is I have actually added my sort of end live stream and end video is this button here. So because it's one of the sort of hard buttons that's on the Stream Deck, it's out of the way. Oh, sorry, on the Loupe Deck, it's out of the way, so I'm not going to inadvertently press that, because I'm not ever going to have my fingers around there. They're always using these controls here or down here. So it's out of the way that I don't inadvertently press it, but at the same time, it's easy to find just by, I can just do it down here. And incidentally, that's another thing about the Stream Deck and Loupe Deck. I always felt like with this one not having these hard buttons, whereas with here, I can always find sort of my way around. Certainly, anything that's like in these top sort of three up here, you can just feel by knowing like, okay, it's this bottom one. I always know that goes back to my main shot. And then the one over to the right is back to this shot. And I've got all my scenes down here. These are all my different overlays. So my like and subscribe, my buy me a coffee, all that sort of stuff. See what I did there? Very sly maneuver. My other ones like this, like my join my Discord. I'll get out all my links, get them all out of the way now. So those are all basically, though, down at the bottom of here, so I know where those are. I've got my Pro Mouse controls over here. And then some other different scenes and stuff. So I can generally find my way around here. But when you get into the middle, you tend to find yourself looking down to make sure you're getting it in the right spot in any case. So this thing about the Loupe Deck of not being able to sort of feel my way around it, I still find that I tend to look down anyway for most of the actions on the Stream Deck, apart from the ones that are just in these sort of corners. But this one I can always locate, because it's just basically, if I put my hand there, I can feel it. I'll just quickly answer this one. So have you done any videos about using Keynote in creative ways? I've done quite a lot of videos about using Keynote with Ecamm Live for creating. We don't really need to use it for like overlays with borders and stuff like that anymore. But certainly using Keynote as in conjunction with Ecamm Live. But actually, one of the ways of using Keynote is to make Stream Deck icons. So I'll come on to that a little bit later, actually, because that's how I've made basically all of the icons that you can see on my Stream Deck. I've made in Keynote. And in fact, let me just pull that up, because it's a really there's loads of built-in icons. I've tended to actually draw all of my things in any case just in Keynote. So I'll just get up Keynote and show you the file that I've got for all of my my icons, because I do find it really easy to work in. And all you do is basically, I'll show you if I open up this 1 second. Let me come back over to here. Oops, Daisy. Let's have a little look. Where am I? Come over to this one. Here we go. Right, so I just need to adjust the size of this. this is going to, I've not got a sharing window set up for quite the right size of this, but this should still show you. Let me get this message down off the screen. There we go. So what I need to do is just zoom out from this a little bit, zoom out from the zoom icon. So all I've done in Keynote is I've gone into Document, and then where you've got the slide size, usually it'll just say standard 4:3 or widescreen 16:9. In fact, the default is widescreen 16:9. But you can also say custom slide size. And then the actual size of the icons on a Stream Deck is, I think, 72 pixels by 72. I can't remember exactly what it is on the Loupe Deck, but I've basically just future-proofed it and made these quite a lot larger than they need to be. So I've just done 500 by 500. I think I've got another file with where I did it 400 by 400. And so, yeah, these are basically all of my Zoom icons. Sorry, my Stream Deck icons. And if I just change the view to slide only, whoops-a-daisy, no, not that one. I want to change it to this one, light table. So here you can see these are all my icons that I created for Stream Deck, and these are kind of these are my Zoom ones, and then these are all my Ecamm ones. So I have these ones, and by the way, there's two colors here. So with Stream Deck, you can let me just I'll jump back here in a minute. I feel like I've just jumped a little bit ahead. So if anybody's just starting to get into Stream Deck, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. I'll jump back to this afterwards because this has got there's a good point here about these two-tone ones. So let me have a little look. This is the Stream Deck interface. And here you can see that this is the scene that I'm in at the moment. So if I just come into demo mode, the way that I use my do my screen sharing in Ecamm, this is my demo mode. So this is what I'm seeing on my computer at the moment. I've got my Lilliput teleprompter monitor above my main monitor, but this is my main monitor, and it's quite large. So this probably looks all very small to you, but over on the top left over here, this is sort of one area of the screen, and then I've got another area of the screen here that I use for screen sharing. I've got another one down here that I use for screen sharing. So these are sort of I've sort of split the screen in my head into a grid of 6, basically 3 at the top and 3 at the bottom. I keep all of my Ecamm stuff down at the bottom. And then if I'm recording videos as opposed to doing a live stream, I also look at this area just up in the top middle and treat that as an area. And then what I've done in Ecamm is I've set up screen sharing for all of these different areas. So if I come out of demo mode for a moment, that's basically what these represent. So this is like me sharing my sort of top left of the screen. This is me top center of the screen, top right of the screen, and the bottom right of the screen. So here you can see basically that I'm in this top right, which is where my Stream Deck is. And then if I came to this one down here, my bottom right, this is where I've got my Loupe Deck screen sharing. And then this is back over to the one that was at the top left, which is where I've put my my Keynote. So that's what these scenes represent, these icons represent. And the good thing about the Ecamm plugin is that you can assign, basically for scenes, you've got 2 different colors that you can use, or 2 different icons. So you can add in icons here, for either when the scene is active or when it is inactive. And what that means is when you look down at the Stream Deck, you can actually see which scene you're on. So it means that if I'm just glance down at it, I can see that this is the active scene, so that I don't sort of, I know where to press or not press. With the Loupe Deck, it doesn't actually do that. It's just a minor little difference between them, but it doesn't do that on the Loupe Deck. So you basically only have one icon for the button. Where did the icons for Zoom come originally? So I actually just made them. So if I come into here, if you mean these ones, let me just come back. By the way, my Zoom icon pack, I should say, is available on my store, takeonetech.io/store. They're actually in blue, in Zoom colors. If I just come back over here. So these are the icons that I created for Zoom. And I drew them in here. They have come from, they've got some similar icons themselves, so I sort of took inspiration from that. But like these ones, for this one switching between single view or panel view, copying the invite, opening up the chat window, opening up the participant window, all that sort of stuff. So I have got these as well. These are the ones that if you go to my website and get the icon pack from there, then it's got them as basically just in Zoom Blue. But me being a little bit ADD, or OCD rather, I should say, it's a case of I wanted these to all match when I was in my Ecamm. So I've got different profiles with different coloured icons so that they all match. Oh, thank you, Carly. I've just noticed you just dropped the link in. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So yeah, if I come over here in my my profile, if I go onto the next page, then here I've got my Zoom ones. I still haven't done my Discord icons. I've started them, but I haven't finished. But there will be a Discord Discord mute button here as well. So yeah, because I wanted them, I just have this thing of they've got to all look consistent. So my Zoom buttons that I have in conjunction with these buttons have all got to look the same. Anyway, I'm digressing somewhat. So this is the interface for Stream Deck, and this comes on to the reason I think why I was so late in actually starting to use the Loupe Deck from when I bought it. Like it literally sat doing nothing for 3.5 months. The interface of Stream Deck for me feels really intuitive. I mean, it couldn't really be that much more simple for the complexity of what it can actually do. So like if I just delete this thing from here for a moment. So the way that you do it is you've got these different plugins down the side. There is some for Stream Deck actions. I've got a whole series of beginner's guide to Stream Deck, so I'm not going to go over the full thing, but I'll just give a brief introduction. You've got some things related to Stream Deck, so like creating actions. There's one here showing the page, so when you've got different pages. So if I just drag this on, it will, if I come here, page indicator, that would just tell me I'm now on page 1. If that was on page 2, it would say page 2, and so on. There's various different things here, multi-actions, that you can sort of string things together to do some more complex automation and stuff like that. Then you've got stuff related to the system. So, and a soundboard is to play sounds. System here, though, is website. So there you just put in a URL, press the button, and it'll open up that URL. So if you've got some websites that you visit often, you can just do that. Hotkey. So if there is keystrokes that you use, like Command C for copy, Command V for paste, all that sort of stuff. You can just come in here, assign a keyboard shortcut, Command C. So that is now a copy button, and it's just really easy to program. To my mind, I found it just really intuitive. It's basically just drag and drop, and you are good to go with it. And it's, as I say, it's about as simple as it could be, I think. So you've got these different plugins down the right-hand side. So there are plugins for things like Discord. Did I mention my Discord server? If you're not already in there, takeonetech.io/Discord. So it's about as easy as you could get to just sort of drag and drop things across. And like I say, it's got these actions for lots of different applications. So we've got the Zoom plugin, PowerPoint, Keynote. So that means that you can control these things sort of in the background. So here you can control your Keynote slides. If you're using Ecamm, you can advance Keynote slides sort of in the background without coming out of Ecamm or without coming out of whatever else you're doing. And because I feed my Keynote slides into Ecamm Live, then that's in fact what you can see these two buttons here are for. These are actually forwards and backwards with Keynote slides. And by the way, when you drag them on, they will have an icon assigned to it. So this is next slide. But then you can just come and change the icon to whatever you want. So that's what I've done with mine. Yeah, because you've got so many different plugins, and I mean, I've got to say this. I say this every time. I think every single video I've made about Ecamm's Stream Deck integration. Look at all of these different actions that you can do in Ecamm Live. It is just phenomenal. It is really amazing. Now, the Zoom one, by the way, the Zoom one, when you look at it, it doesn't look like it's actually got that many actions. So there's like, about 10, something like that here that you can do. But in actual fact, you can use this custom shortcut here. And you just drag that one in. And then anything in Zoom where there is a keyboard shortcut assigned to it, you can add the shortcut here. And what that allows you to do is you can then be controlling Zoom in the background. So whereas if you just use the regular Stream Deck keyboard shortcut, you have to make sure that the application that you're trying to control is the active application. And there is a little bit of a way around that to sort of bring it to the front, but you don't necessarily want to bring the application to the front if you're doing something like, say, I'm in a Zoom meeting and I'm sharing something in Excel or something like that, as I often am on my sort of Zoom meetings, then you may want to control your Zoom meeting, but not actually come out of the thing that you're demonstrating, or not come out of Ecamm Live if you're using Ecamm into Zoom or whatever it happens to be. So this allows you to basically go through and add in the keyboard shortcuts. And if you get my Zoom icon pack, I actually have the profile ready made with all of those shortcuts pre-entered. But what this tells me is this is just lazy programming on Zoom's part, really, isn't it? Because they're basically saying, here are some of the actions, and if you want the rest of the actions that you can perform in Zoom, go and make them yourself. That's what this button is telling me. It's like they couldn't be bothered to actually make them. Whereas Ecamm have just made absolutely everything that they can think of. And, you know, at times, people will ask for something and it will just appear in the next release. I mean, this was one of them, switch profile. People had asked for that, and then it just actually came in the next update. So they're constantly adding new buttons to here. Whereas if you look at any other app, I've just mentioned Zoom, but I won't just pick on them. There's plenty of other ones. If you look at like PowerPoint, we've got a few in there, and Keynote. I mean, there are plenty of other things that you could actually have in there. I have got a Keynote icon pack as well, actually, which is to control the, let me just quickly show you that one. Where's it gone? So this one is my Keynote icon pack. Oh, no, it isn't. Hang on a minute. I've gone into the wrong one there. That was my, that was something else. There's my Keynote one. So I use this one when I'm actually creating slides in Keynote or creating things. So, but this one you need to, or I use with Keyboard Maestro. So it actually performs these actions. Yeah, so these are for like sort of alignment tools, grouping and stuff like that, just common actions that I use when I'm creating, like drawing the icons and things like that, or creating slides. Then I'm often using these tools to sort of combine shapes and intersect shapes and all that sort of stuff, flipping things, grouping things, all that. And then I've got another page here that's all related to text and stuff like that. So that's my my Keynote pack. But you can see there's quite a lot you can do in there. And in fact, the full Zoom pack is it this one? No, that's another random one I've got. There you go. So this is the Zoom pack with all of the different things that I've created in there. So all of this is to say that yeah, Ecamm are just giving you everything, whereas some of the others are having to you're having to really sort of work to get in all of those actions. But that said, there are so many different plugins available. So if I come into here, just clicking up at the top, this is the store. And then when you come into the store, there is this section over on this side called plugins. And there's actually a load more that I just haven't got or haven't used. So if you come down here, these are all the different plugins you've got. And so here, this is one for lighting control by Elgato. So if you use Elgato lights, then you can control them all from Stream Deck. Obviously, Elgato makes the Stream Deck, so you would hope there would be integration there. Twitch Studio, if you use Twitch, then you've got this one here you can use. This one is CPU, displays the current CPU usage. I actually use iStat menus in my menu bar on my Mac for that, so I don't need that displayed on there. There's also another Twitch one here by Elgato. It tells you the name of the plugin and then who's made it as well. So anything by Elgato is by the actual manufacturer of Stream Deck. But there's loads in here. Zoom plugin, IQ. I'm not sure what IQ is actually. And Discord, all these sorts of stuff. So there's lots of different plugins that you can get. So what that means is there's loads of sort of pre-built actions that you can get. And if you use any things, here's one of my favorites, Keyboard Maestro. If you're using any of these things like Wirecast, not sure what Tippy is, but these different things, Lumia, that's another one for lighting as well. Then you've basically got ready-made actions that you can drag in, and this is one of the things that you don't really get quite the same way on the Loupe Deck. So let me just come and show you the Loupe Deck interface by contrast. So over here, it's looks quite simple, quite similar, I should say, in terms of we've got a picture of the device and then we've got actions over on this side. the thing that is missing on this is all of the plugins. That's the issue with it. And although when you actually get it to start with, you'll start up in something like this. Hang on a minute. Now, why is that not working? Oh, there we go. You have this thing called, which is on by default, dynamic mode, and you'll see that there are these different sort of profile setups. So there's one for After Effects, one for Audition, Capture One, Ecamm Live, Final Cut, Illustrator, Lightroom, and Teams. So and there's one for Zoom, I think, actually, as well. These are sort of default profiles that are just already there and ready. So if I was to switch to, let me switch to like Illustrator. There's some that just don't seem to be showing there at the moment, actually. If I switch to Illustrator, then it's got this with different Illustrator controls on it, all sort of set up. But what these are is it's not entirely sort of a it's not entirely easy to add in new profiles. So like for this one here, although we've got all the Adobe Illustrator things in here, there isn't like a store as such where I can go and look for things for other applications. So you are quite limited with it. It also has this thing, dynamic mode, switched on as a default, which means that as you're switching between different apps, it is switching profile on the Loupe Deck, which you might think sounds quite useful, and perhaps it is useful for you, but not for the way that I use the Loupe Deck, because I often using it with Ecamm Live, or if I'm on Zoom or something like that, where I want to be able to, I'm doing something where I'm demonstrating something in another app. So like if I'm doing a demonstration in, or let's say I'm just on a Zoom call showing something in Excel, I wouldn't want to be switching to my Excel Loupe Deck profile whilst I was on the call, because I'm trying to demonstrate something. I still want to have control over the call. So I don't like this thing where it sort of jumps around from one thing to another. So the first thing I did was switch that off, and then I just created my own profile. Then you've got, in the same way that we had sort of Stream Deck, there's some stuff related to navigating Stream Deck and system controls. We've got the same sorts of things here. So this one that says desktop. But then, rather than seeing the actions as we did on Stream Deck, where they were all just listed, it sort of tries to group them, and I can see why that might make sense to group them. So we've got some different controls related to activating specific applications, but then it's listed all of the applications that you can use with this. So like activate Audition means open up Audition, activate Illustrator, activate Photoshop. So whereas with Stream Deck, this is just one button or one action that just says open, and then you can open either an application, you can open a folder, you can open a file. Here it's been like specific about all the different applications. So I think there's a bit of like bloat in there, shall we say, with all, actually manually listing all of these rather than it just being like an open command. And with them being in these folders, it's sort of a little bit harder to find, and not necessarily as intuitive as they may think. The other thing that is a little bit strange about this is that everything is listed alphabetically. Now, that might sound totally logical. Of course, you want things listed alphabetically. But when you come into things like Ecamm, for example, one of the things you can do is you can run your scenes. So here I can run my scenes. Whereas in Stream Deck, it lists the streams in the order that they appear in your scenes window in Ecamm Live. So it makes more sense to me to know that, right, well, the one that I have at the top of my list in Ecamm is, my intro scene, and then my main scene, and so on. And I've got some that are grouped that are quite close together that I know that they would be all together. Whereas in here, they appear to me to be random, although they're actually in alphabetical order. I don't know why, to me, it just doesn't actually feel as intuitive. You would think that alphabetical would be the way to go, but it just doesn't seem to work for me, because then I'm sort of jumping up and down in my visual list that I have over on the Ecamm. But that's not Ecamm, that's just the way that that Loupe Deck actually organized this stuff. And then it's like the grouping of it in folders. Again, they've just gone into, they've detailed everything in the list. So here, for example, let's have a little look at one of these. In fact, let me come back to this one. Or in fact, case in point there would be scenes. So they've got run scene, and then you just got a list of all the scenes. Whereas in Stream Deck, it's literally just one button that is run scene. Let me just show you by comparison. So if I come over to my Stream Deck, and I'll just delete this button from here. So if I come into Ecamm Live, we've got this button here, which is run scene. And I'm just dragging that across because that's what I know that I want to do. I'm just dragging across run scene. That is the action that I want to perform. And then I just come here to this little drop down, and then it's listing all of my scenes in the order that they appear in the menu. So this is in the window that I've got in Ecamm. So they're all in the order that I've put them in, including these ones are all in a little folder. So they're just sort of indented because they're in that folder and so on. So everything is organized the way that I've organized it, and it just feels a lot more intuitive. And these are all just tiny little things, but these are the reasons why I took so long to actually get into using Loupe Deck, because it didn't feel intuitive, although you would think on paper it should be more intuitive because everything's alphabetical, right? But it just didn't work that way for me. So that was a little bit weird or a little bit odd. But then, like now, if I want to add in some other plugins, so you can come here to manage plugins, and then you can select which ones that you want. So these are the plugins that I can add. Like let's say in this profile, I want to be able to control Ecamm Live. So I want to have some Ecamm Live stuff going on here. But what about if I want to actually add in those zoom controls? Because there is a zoom profile as well that came ready made on it. Well, if I come to manage plugins here, you can see how I've got the Ecamm Live one showing up. So that's why that shows there, and I can access all of those controls. If I was using Twitch, I could add the Twitch one just like that. Click on OK. And then now you see it's got the Twitch, and I can get to all of those controls. But where are the Photoshop controls? Where are the Illustrator? Where's the Zoom controls? Where's the Microsoft Teams controls? They're not in here because it isn't classed as a plugin or something. So if I come over to my Microsoft Teams here, so these ones here were all built in. These are all just built into Loupe Deck. So if I change to my Teams profile, which was built in, here you can see there are some actions here for Teams, but it's not actually a profile. They've just literally created for you the shortcuts, and they've done it using custom actions. So all of the ones that appear like they're profiles, like it's a profile for Illustrator, Lightroom, Audition and stuff like that, those companies haven't made plugins for it. It's literally just here. These are custom actions. So this thing here is a list of where we've got the ones for the OS. We've got here the ones for sort of navigating the Stream Deck. You've also got this one, custom actions, where you can make your own custom actions. And so basically for all of these profiles, what they've done, what Loupe Deck have done, is they've just gone in and they've made a whole series of custom actions. But what that means is you can't actually call those from any other profile. So if I go like all of these things here, select week, select day, you can see that this is, I'll show you how these work, but these are all these actions that I can now use with my, with this Teams thing. So start a new conversation, filter, messaging, calls, all these things that are to control Teams are now sandboxed in here. And if I go over to this one, I mean, I could technically come in and copy them out, but it's just not intuitive. So let me come over to Ecamm Live. So let me just show you on here. So what I've got in here is you've got these plugins along the top. So this one here is for the desktop. This is basically all system things. So if you want to, you can do things related to the clipboard. Like, I mean, look at all these different actions related to the clipboard. It could just be a clipboard action and then you select it afterwards. It feels not intuitive to me. You've got keyboard controls here. But again, it's like a whole list of them. Like, press key 0, press key 1, press key 2, press key... I mean, it's just a massive list. Press key B. Now, this is where this alphabetical thing just sort of doesn't make sense to me. You would think that if you were going to list out all the keys like A to Z, they would be grouped together A to Z. But no, arrow key up, it comes before B. And all of these other arrow keys come after the letter A. So you end up with A is there, then you've got all these other ones here, and then you've got B, and then you've got the back tab, break, and then it comes to C, and then clear. It just is not, it's not intuitive at all for me personally. So that is, again, just this reason for this friction. So then this is for like the OS, so controlling things on the OS. These ones are for navigating. So in workspaces are a little bit like profiles, and you can sort of navigate between them. So in the same way that on the Stream Deck I was pressing a button to jump back and forth between these different profiles, you can control those with this as well. And by the way, these controls, you can literally just sort of drag them and drop them onto the button. So it is drag and drop in that respect, just like the Stream Deck is. And then this one here is the Ecamm Live. Let me just get rid of that Twitch one because I don't use Twitch. But this one here is custom controls, and this is where you can create your own custom controls. Now this is useful. This is something that I'm using, but what is strange is just the fact that I can't access all of those great custom controls that they have created in elsewhere. But like I say, I could sort of copy them individually across, but it's just not intuitive that way. So you can create these custom actions, and it's a bit the same as you can create multi-actions in Stream Deck. Again, let me just show you how to do it in Stream Deck, because this will show you again the friction that I had with it, and it just did not feel intuitive. So let me just create a little space here. If I want to create a multi-action, I right-click, create multi-action, like that. And so now we've got this little multi-action button. That is the icon for a multi-action button. So if I want to edit that, you can see here how many actions are in that multi-action. So I'll click in here. And now basically it says here, drag an action from the right and drop it here. Simple as that. These are all the different actions, just as we did before, but instead of dropping them onto the button itself, we can just drop them here. So let's say, well, I can tell you one that I have is for my my end scene. What I do is I run scene. This is for Ecamm Live, and I want to go to my end scene. So I have a specific scene that is like for the ending when I at the end of my YouTube videos, you get 20 seconds on YouTube where you can put those little, these videos are coming up next. So what I do is when I want to end my video, I want to first switch to my end scene. Then I want it to wait 20 seconds, and then I want it to end the broadcast. So that means it's flicked to that last scene. There's a 20-second, which is the time that it takes for my sort of end scene to run. And by the way, what I mean by that is this one here. So this thing where I say, watch these videos next. So I have it flicked to that scene, which is this one, end screen. I then have a delay of 20 seconds, and you can add in delay. If I come to Stream Deck, there is this option here to add a delay. So I put that there. Stream Deck and Loupe Deck are the same. They measure time in milliseconds. So 20 seconds is actually 20,000 milliseconds. And then what I want it to do is after it's waited 20 seconds, then I want it to end the broadcast. So that's this option here. The go live button in Ecamm, if you're not recording, is go live. And if you are recording, it changes to end. So this little multi-action basically is now going to switch to my end screen. It's going to wait 20 seconds and then it's going to end. Okay. So let's look at doing the same thing in Loupe Deck because it's not as intuitive as just sort of dragging and dropping things. So now there we go. I've got that button there is just like this is going to end my video. And then when I'm in YouTube, I just go and add in those little end screen things. If I want to do the same thing in Loupe Deck, I come over here to the custom controls. What's it called? I might have got the name wrong there. A custom action, actually, sorry. And then you come down to these three dots, and then I say, I want to make a new something. A new, what is it now? A new macro? Yeah, I think it's a new macro. Herein is the issue. So let me just double check this. I don't want a group. A custom adjustment is for the dials. So a custom adjustment is to change something on the dial. So I've got some for that. And by the way, just quickly, you can see that the ones that have this little dial symbol, that means it's something that can be assigned to the little dials on the Loupe Deck. Whereas the ones that have got the button, the finger pressing something, that is ones that can be assigned to the buttons. So this one I think are they just called a new macro, or is it shortcut? Let me just double check that. Oh no, shortcut is for actually a keyboard shortcut, so I don't want that one. I think it is the new macro. Already not as immediately obvious, isn't it? So what I can do here is, this is basically saying new macro. So now I can add a shortcut, but I don't want to add a shortcut. I want to add an action, don't I? So here we've got this button here. This is where I can either record a shortcut, I can add a modifier key, or if I click on this one, then rather than selecting shortcut, what I can do is say action. Okay, so now that's going to change it to an action. So now I can drag the action there. This is so overly complicated. I mean, I like tech stuff, but I think that they've made this interface a little bit harder than it needs to be. So now I'm going to change over to my Ecamm Live here, and I want to go to my scenes because I want to switch scene. I'm basically just recreating exactly what I did before. Now here I want my end scene, and in this case, maybe actually the alphabetical might work well. So end screen, there we go. So now I'm just going to drag this option down here. Okay, so now we've got end screen is selected. Now what I want to do is I need to I don't want to add a I want to add a time here. So what does that need to be? Let me just do this. Add action. It will be an action actually because it will be a timer, won't it? So let me come into, I'm guessing this one will be in the will it be navigation? Let me have a little look. No, it won't be navigation. It will be date and time. I'm not deliberately making this look complicated. I just can't remember where things are. And because you've got these massive long lists of things like this, it's hard to actually find the thing that you're looking for. So let me find the timer. Oh, it might be in this one, might it? Let me have a little look. In fact, I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to actually look at here what I did. Discard changes. How did I get that? Oh, there's a function in there, delay. Okay, so the actual function is in the in here itself. So let me just try that again. So here we had to go, you see it's built into there. So it's not an action, it's actually built into here. Okay, so what we need to do is come here. We go to action. I'm just having to do this again because I just lost my place then. So we come into Ecamm, we come to scenes. I love the Loupe Deck once it's set up. But I just found this, it was like every time I came to start looking at it, because I tend to like just diving into stuff, making some progress, and then I don't always, I don't like sort of spend all day doing it. And I just found every time I came to jump into this to do something originally for the first 3.5 months, it didn't work for me. So it's added in the end screen there, and it's added this drag action. I don't want that. I want to be able to change that. So I've got to actually delete this one, and then I've got to add in action again, but then I've got to come in here to change it to delay. And then from here, I'm going to change the delay to 20,000 milliseconds, like that. And then I want to add another action, which is going to be now another scene. So that needs to be an action. And then I need to add the, oh no, sorry, it is an action, but it's not a scene, it's the end. So now what I have to find is in Ecamm, where is the end? Control, I'm guessing, go live. So that's it. Okay. So that is now, if I were to save that like this and give it a name, I'll just call this end demo. Well, that was hard work, wasn't it? That was hard work. So there you go. Now I've got this one. So I've now got my end demo, and this is exactly the same as this end recording. But I've done this before, and I still couldn't find my way to do it just then, like straight off. I find it really just not intuitive at all. That is just for me. It might work better for other people's way of thinking, but that just felt like really labored and hard work. And I promise I wasn't intentionally trying to make a point here. It was just that's just how I find it all the time. There is some good things here. So I also use it for my screen zoom. This one I found quite good. So when I'm in live demo mode, if I come into my live demo mode like this, then you have got this screen zoom feature, so I can zoom in on different parts of the screen. And what I've done is I've assigned that to a button so I can zoom into a part of the screen, but then the dial is actually what I'm using to zoom in and out. So it means actually pushing the dial in, I can zoom in on the screen like that. And then once I've zoomed in on the screen, I can adjust the sort of the zoom with that. So that was that's one thing that I find quite useful, specifically for Ecamm, is this screen zoom. And I've done a video about using the accessibility feature. It wasn't me who figured this out. Smarter people than me figured it out, to use the built-in max accessibility zoom feature to sort of zoom in on the screen. The thing that was a bit of a workaround here is with the dial. Let me just show you something else complicated that feels a bit more complicated. So with this screen zoom, what you can do is, in the same way that you can add an action from a button, any of the actions that you've got, so as mentioned, some of the actions are rotating, and so one of them was for like the buttons and things. One of them was for mouse, and you've got this here. You can simulate either a mouse click, but you can also simulate things like, here we go, like dragging the mouse but holding a modifier key. So obviously it lists every single possible permutation of this rather than just having you select from a drop down which one you want. So you've got drag mouse horizontal left, drag mouse horizontal left plus the command key, drag mouse horizontal left plus the control key, plus the option key, plus the shift key. It just takes up so much space. It would have been a lot better to just say the direction plus the modifier and you just sort of select it. But what you can also do is it's got like the scroll wheel plus holding down a key. Well, when I'm in my, when I'm doing that that zooming, the way that you do that is hold down the control key and then move the scroll wheel. That's how I sort of zoom in and out if I'm doing it with the mouse. So I figured that for the click wheel, the way to do it would be to use the sort of mouse scroll plus the control key, because that would then simulate holding down the control and the mouse scroll. So when I use the dial on my Loupe Deck, it would zoom in and out. For some reason, it didn't actually work, and there was, I don't know quite why. I don't know whether that's something to do with it being an accessibility feature or something like that. But fortunately, with that particular feature, there is also, you can also do it using the control and option and the number pad. So what I did was I created this little macro here, or they call it, what do they call it? An adjustment. So here we've got basically, if you rotate the dial anti-clockwise, then it simulates the command plus option plus the number pad minus sign, and then if you rotate it clockwise, it simulates command, option, and the number pad plus sign. So that means that for every one of those little increments, I mentioned that these dials have got like a sort of little ratchet feel to them. So it means that for every one of those little increments that you move it, it's going to simulate pressing command, option, number pad plus and minus. And by the way, it doesn't work with the keys on the top of the keyboard. It does seem to have to be the one on the number pad itself. But that now means that I can actually do that thing of just sort of actually scrolling in and out with my my Loupe Deck key. In fact, if I switch over to this view and I'll zoom in on that part of the screen, wherever it is, so you can see that I'm actually scrolling the screen using the dial on the I'll stop doing that before I make you all sick, on the actual Loupe Deck itself. So that this is where I've got that assigned, and pressing the button here just sort of toggles these dials, by the way, I forgot to mention that they can rotate, but they can also push in as well. So this one is like push to initiate the zoom, and it will just zoom into the last zoomed the last level of zoom, and then turning it like this is actually what's going to control like this sort of fine adjustment. Same for these ones as well. I've got so these are my mic, for example, and then if I press it in like that, and then sound effects and stuff like that. So I do really like the functionality of the Loupe Deck. It's just the programming of it I found a real friction point for me. Now that I've got it set up, I'm not really using it for anything. This is basically the profile that I use on my Loupe Deck. Anything that I'm wanting to do, like, I've just got something quickly to do, I'll always revert to the Stream Deck because it's so much more, quicker to do. Let me just have a quick catch up with where we are in the chat, because I realise I've been yakking away. I'll just have a... There's quite a lot going on in here. Hang on a minute. Thank you very much, Carly. I see you've been dropping lots of links in. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Jeff, did I ever get anywhere with the developer of your... I guess you mean Pro Mouse, the thing that I use for my pointer. I didn't get anywhere with them in that they never responded. So it would be good if they respond, because there's definitely people who've got issues with Pro Mouse. I've always been in two minds about taking down the videos about them, because I've had, a substantial number of people, a substantial number, at least 5 or 6 people that I know, close to me, that have said it's not working for me. So it just always works for me. It's a bit weird, that one. Let's have a little look. I've done some workaround things using PowerPoint, but I have Keynote 2 and need to utilize it. Great idea. Where did you get those? Oh, sorry, I've already read that one, haven't I? Sorry, I think I must be going a bit too far back here. Yeah, I prefer Keynote. I did so much stuff in PowerPoint, but then and the thing with PowerPoint is, if you're working with other business folk, it's kind of like the go-to for these things. So yeah, I still have to do some stuff in PowerPoint, but I actually prefer the working of Keynote. Let me have a look. Thanks, Carly, again for posting all the links, and the link to the Discord as well. Look at this. We've got a we've got a link posting battle. Hey Todd, great to see you. I always feel in it. I always get a little bit of a Christmas spirit, for obvious reasons, when I see your name pop up. Let's have a little look. Hello, iCast Enterprises. I don't think I know your name. I don't know if I've asked you before. Sometimes I ask and then I forget, but drop your name in as well so that I can say hello properly. But yeah, I've got a whole playlist actually on Stream Deck. So there is, yeah, I forget how many videos I've got, but on my channel, most of the videos, or the majority, are Ecamm Live, and next after that is Stream Deck. So I think I've got about 80 Ecamm videos and I don't know, about 40 Stream Deck ones or something like that. And I only set up my channel to really cover like Mac productivity apps and tech and stuff like that. But then I was using the Stream Deck and Ecamm Live in order to make my videos, and as I started using them, I just fell in love with them, and that's why that's what all my videos are about, because I make the stuff that I find interesting and is top of my mind, and so it was always Stream Deck and Loupe Deck. But yeah, I've got a whole Stream Deck playlist with lots of Stream Deck content. And my beginner's guide actually is quite popular, so that's just basically 5 videos from start to just getting people up to speed with it as well. Let's have a little look. Yeah, so that multi-action one. I'll show you a couple of my other Ecamm ones actually that I use on Stream Deck, because I've got a couple of multi-actions that I use. I'll come to that in a moment. Well, to be honest, Keely, I didn't go anywhere with it for 3.5 months. I just didn't send it back, and that's the thing. If I had been a little bit more proactive, I would have sent it back. It's just one of those things that I didn't get around to doing it, and then I've eventually picked it up again. But I mean, it should, by all rights, it should have been sent back after a week of sitting on my desk not doing anything. So you were just stronger than me in that respect. I just left it there and kept looking down, thinking, oh, one day I'll figure it out. But it literally took me 3.5 months to do anything with it. So yeah. Hey Dina, great to see you here. Elaine, great to see you too. And Mr. Elo is in the house. Dr. Elo, I beg your pardon. Let's have a little look. Great to see you too. Yeah. Well, if you're looking for more opportunities, I'm actually going live again in about 2.5 hours for Cedar Create Every Day in April. I've set myself a bit of a task. I'm keeping that whole thing separate to my regular weekly live streams, but yeah. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to I was going to say I'm quite looking forward to Cedar. I'm quite looking forward to the end of Cedar because I will have created quite a lot of content. But there you go. Oh, that's a very good point, actually. Yeah, that isn't the issue that other people are having. People are having it where it just doesn't work. But actually, that is a very good point. And guess what? It is on my list of videos for Cedar. That is. So yeah, when you share a specific app in Ecamm, Ecamm just ignores all other apps, and because ProMouse is an app, I know you know this, Keely. I'm just telling the other fine folks. It treats ProMouse as an app, so it doesn't show up. Whereas when you share the entire screen, then all of the apps show up on it, and that is in fact why, if I come into my screen sharing again, that's why I've got these different areas. So like there's this area up here, which is a screen sharing area for me, where I've cropped into it in Ecamm. And in fact, that is this particular area here. So you can see as I move the Stream Deck around on this space, it's actually moving around in the window. I should show you that not in demo mode, like this. So as I move it around on my desktop, it's actually moving around in that window. But what that means is I can actually go and just drag anything into that area. So if I wanted to then have the chat up here instead, let's say I wanted to share the entire chat, then I could do that like that. And then what I do is I have Moom that just positions everything. So if I want to stick something in that location, I've just got a shortcut to put something up there. And so then that's what I was talking about earlier, where I've got like this area up here. And so when I was doing my screen sharing, where I was showing I was showing all the Stream Deck and Loupe Deck, that's just because this happened to be in this particular space. I'm not sharing the window, but what that means is that my ProMouse then does show up on here as well. Whereas if I was sharing just my Safari window, then you wouldn't see the ProMouse and you wouldn't see the zooming feature either of ProMouse or like the spotlight or anything like that. Just because Ecamm is treating that, as I say, just as the screen share of an app is sharing just that app. But it does mean that I can now say, right, well, now I want to share this keynote. Which is not really a keynote, it's my Stream Deck buttons, but if I want to share that, I can just pop that there. So I think it actually works a lot better for me to just share a specific spot in my desktop. So yeah, great point there, Keely. Let's have a little look. Is there a benefit of going with a larger Loupe Deck, or is the standard one enough? Well, so this is the thing. The Loupe Deck, so the Stream Deck, I would always say go for as big as you can go, because I think you'll always find some use for the buttons, and so it makes sense for me, especially if you think you're going to spread them out onto multiple pages. With Stream Deck, I'm talking about. Then if you're going to have multiple pages, you're going to need the forward and back buttons as well. So then you are basically losing potentially 2 buttons on some of the screens for that, depending on how many pages you've got. So that will sort of eat into it. With the Loupe Deck, though, really it is a case of, this is the Loupe Deck Live. Let me just zoom in a little bit on that. So this is the Loupe Deck Live. This is the one that I've got right now on my desk. So here it is, and this is the sort of size of it in comparison to the Stream Deck. And I don't think I mentioned actually, but the Stream Deck XL's got 32 keys. I mentioned that, but this one, the number of buttons it's got here is 12. So it's got 12 buttons, but then you've also got these buttons down here, which are programmable. You don't get any icons on them or anything like that. And then you've got the dials. So if you have a look at the options that we've got with the Loupe Deck, you've either got the Loupe Deck Live, which is like this, but then the next size up is basically, you're not really getting more buttons as such that are totally programmable. I mean, you can program these, but you're still only getting basically this part at the top is essentially the Loupe Deck Live. What you're getting in addition to that is these, which are, you can see that they've got some idea of what you might use these keys for themselves. So here you can see we've got like the undo key, save, little keyboard symbol and stuff like that. So they've obviously got some ideas in mind of what you're going to do with that. You do though get this bigger sort of wheel here, and this can be programmable, so you might have that for like scrubbing through your editing timeline or whatever it is. I don't do any editing, so I didn't really, I felt that this would be overkill for me. I don't do anything where I would need that big wheel. So it's like, in contrast to the Stream Deck, where it's just a case of how many buttons do you want, this is a case of, well, this is the Loupe Deck Live, and do you want this extra functionality of this larger jog wheel or not? So that is the question really. And for me, I just thought, no, I don't need this. If these had got like fully programmable with icons on them, so that you could actually see what these functions were doing, then I would say, yeah, it would be worth it for me, because I could use that and just have this as like one like master volume or something like that. But yeah, I just couldn't justify it to myself. Usually I find a way to justify these things to myself, but in this case I just couldn't. So but that's the difference between them anyway. So it's really a case of if you want this large wheel and these extra buttons down here. So let's have a little look. The Stream Deck itself is so amazing for adding this sort of like flow. I mean, to be able to just do everything with a touch of a button, whether it's in Ecamm or whether it's in StreamYard or whether it's in any other thing like that, it's just it just really does feel like you've got everything at the touch of a button. Indeed, like, you know, having stuff like this. If I just get rid of this comment for 1 second, beg your pardon, get that out of the way. Yeah, just being able to control everything like this, it just means that, yeah, rather than having to, you know, rely on keyboard shortcuts or looking at your scenes or things like that, it feels quite magical, the combination of that with any of these things. So yeah, I'll just come back though to this this method of making. Where's my keynote gone? This method of making icons. So I sort of skipped right ahead before, so I will come back to this since you had asked about it. Making icons in Keynote. There's another thing that I do in here, because I want to try and make them look consistent and have a consistent look and feel. So certainly with these ones, these are all my different screens then, having explained sort of my the way that I have my screens laid out. Just get this one started up a minute. I beg your pardon. Let me get that up. There we go. Yeah, so having explained about this is these ones that show the different areas of my screen. So that's kind of like me up in the top corner and then showing the bottom left of my screen and all that sort of stuff. So this is specifically for my Ecamm stuff. This is the one for sharing my iPad. And so I've got these two different colors. So basically on Stream Deck, you can choose like for when something is active or inactive. So this is how it shows me what's my sort of active scene. But these ones here then, wanting to have like a consistent look. So if you're designing your own icons, it's good to have like an idea in your head of the sort of theme that you're going to have and then stick to it so that when you're looking at an icon, it just immediately tells you what it is. I don't have any writing on my icons except for things like this. So this is my live stream overlay. And by the way, you can see that these have got some sort of commonality between them where you've got, this is just my design, by the way. It's like not an Ecamm thing, but it's this is the way that I've thought about it. So this is kind of like two layers stacked on one of top of another. And so that's what I use to signify an overlay. So these are all icons for overlays. So that's for when I'm writing on my screen with my iPad, my telestration overlay. This one's when I want to put up my mobile phone on as an overlay on top of the screen. This one is show and hide chat. So this one puts up comments. This one takes it down. So you can see that they've all got this sort of consistent look and feel to them. These are ones related to my window layout. So I have different layouts for whether I'm live streaming or recording. So that actually, I use Moom to place all my Ecamm windows in the place where I want them. And so these are my icons that I created for this. I've got some related to my desktop. So this one sends Ecamm virtual monitor, toggles that one on and off on one of my screens. This one zooms in on the screen. So that was before I used Loupe Deck, actually, I used to use the Stream Deck. So I had a key to just press to toggle the zoom, that accessibility feature I was talking about. This one's show and hide desktop icons. This one is change the resolution of my desktop, because when I'm doing screen demos, like now I'm in 4K, so it's all a bit small. You wouldn't be able to see that if I was doing a screen demo like that. So I've got a button here to, when I'm doing something where I'm intending to do a screen demo, then I have this icon to sort of toggle the size of the resolution of the monitor, basically, to make it easier for people to see. Turn on do not disturb. So I'm not going to go through all these, but these are basically, you can see they've got this consistent look and feel. And it's good to try and have that through, you know, just I feel it just makes it look more sort of cohesive. And like all the circles, for example, here. So this is my start recording live stream. That's actually for a timestamp, my record, all those sorts of things. So all the circular elements are all the same sort of sizes, and all of the little screen elements and stuff are the same sizes as well. And I kind of cheated really and took a leaf out of the masters for this, which is if I come into, let me have a look, my navigator a minute. So then if I come into, I've got one at the top here, which is a template. So this is where I'm going to be making my Discord icons. You see here this template. Now this is actually not mine. This is the template that, I don't know if you remember when the iPhone came out, all of the buttons were really, they had this sort of skeuomorphism, they called it. So like the notepad looked like a leather-bound Jota notepad, and you know they all had this look of like trying to look like the thing that they were, you know, the function that they were serving. And then in, I think it was it around the time the iPhone 6 came out, I want to say, something like that. They had a complete revamp of the design when Johnny Ive also took over the interface design as well as the hardware design, or was influential in it. And so they came up with this grid for creating iOS apps. So this is how all of the iOS apps were redesigned, basically using this grid. Let me just change the background of this. I'll just take off this Discord one, and I'll just put something blank on there for the moment, just so you can see it a little bit better. In fact, if I put on a white background, there you go. You can see the grid a little bit better now. So this is basically what they use to design all the iOS apps. And basically, if you just then use something like this when you're laying out your apps or laying out your icons, then all of the things are going to look consistent. So if I just come back to those ones that I was just talking about, which was, in fact, if I just copy this, if I come to that layout and have it this one, you can see that basically all of these circular elements, that's my emojis there, that's my keynote icons, all of these ones, all of these circular elements fit within that main circle. All of the these things, the bounding boxes where they lead up to. So using something like that as a template, and you can find that actually just by searching for, I think it's called just iOS app icon template or something like that. There's loads of people have posted it up there, and I obviously talk about this. I obviously talk about this in my Ecamm Live Masterclass, so I should actually just mention that for a moment. The Ecamm Live Masterclass is over 150 videos. Actually, I've got to upload the last 20 or so, but over 150 videos of all about Ecamm Live and taking you from start to finish, from beginner through to advanced. But it's not just about Ecamm Live, actually. I do cover using Stream Deck, using Loupe Deck, how to set them up, how to make your own icons. And so I've got a download of that particular template that I was just talking about. And it's also using Ecamm Live into Zoom. So I'll talk about how to set it up for using into Zoom, into Teams, into Discord, all of those sorts of things. And then also how to use it to really level up your presentations using Keynote or PowerPoint as well. And so you can get that at ecammlivemasterclass.com. One of the things about my channel is I've got so many Ecamm Live videos, but some of them are sort of partly out of date because some of the content in it is now being superseded by all of the great new features that have been added in. And so the idea of the Ecamm Live Masterclass is it's kind of like an online encyclopedia for all things Ecamm Live that is constantly up to date. So when the new features come out, I'll be going and replacing, you know, videos with the updated new videos and adding new ones in. So I've split it all down into small manageable chunks. So when you go into the basics, for example, I cover all the different types of overlay. Well, if they add a new type of overlay, which they did when they added screen share overlays, for example, a couple of versions ago, I'll be adding in the new videos for that as well. So head over to ecammlivemasterclass.com and you can try that out today. By the way, the price of it includes $150 worth of bonuses, and the cost of the masterclass is $147. So you're basically $3 up before you even start. And like I say, it's lifetime access for that and all of the great content. I've also got a spot on the Discord server for anybody who's in the Ecamm Live Masterclass. So although you can study at your own pace and all that sort of stuff, then you can join that community over there as well. So that was a little bit of a digression, but that was all to say that that particular sort of method of creating these icons I do cover in the masterclass. Oh, and in the masterclass, one of the bonuses that you get, I talked about $150 worth. It's, well, basically it's my Ecamm icon pack, which is $10, and my Zoom icon pack, which is $10, and then some of the discounts and stuff like that. So those are all sort of part of that course as well. But yeah, that's how I use Keynote basically to make the icons. And then again, I've made them a lot larger than they potentially need to be for the for either Stream Deck or Loupe Deck. But I figure I'm just sort of future-proofing myself there. If anybody's got any specific icons that they think would be useful or icon packs they'd like to see, feel free to drop them in the comments or in the chat or wherever, because I am looking to build these out. I've got a few other different icon packs that I'll be making. So, for example, the Discord pack as well. And the Discord icons, I'm doing those because there's a few different keyboard shortcuts for those, and then a few other apps that I'm doing as well. Somebody's asked me for the Excel one. The Excel one is quite a beast actually, because I've just basically used the icons that I use myself. I haven't gone through and made absolutely everything, and I just haven't had time to complete that. But at some point, I will have a I don't know, a 20-page Stream Deck profile with all of the things you can do in Excel, and then you just find the ones that you actually want. But there you go. Oh, that's great, Keely. That's yeah, that is where you can find the iOS app design guide. It's really good. That is. I mean, it was a really great way of them giving this sort of framework, if you like, for creating app icons. Let me have a look. I've got a little bit lost with the things. How do you remember you've made all these buttons? This is the thing, you see. The way that I always used to approach these things is I always used to think about all of the potential actions that I might need to do. And I'm talking about Keyboard Maestro here, actually. But it's the same for icons. I would think about all of the potential things that I might need to do. Like I would just sit and imagine what I could potentially want to do. And then I'd make all of the different actions in Keyboard Maestro, and it would be the same if I was making icons. And then I'd promptly forget them all because it was just something I'd thought about one day and I hadn't actually built up the sort of muscle memory of using them. So in actual fact, with my Stream Deck icon packs, apart from ones where it's like Zoom, where it's just a case of what are all of the buttons, then I would just create the create all the functions that you can do in Zoom. With the Ecamm stuff, it's been ones that I've built up over time of just like, right, well, I need one for this scene or I need one for that scene. And so it's kind of, I've built it up over time as I've needed them. And so then they've just sort of stuck in my mind. And the Zoom icon pack, to answer your questions, Joanne, yeah, it's that the Zoom icon pack is completely separate from Ecamm. All it is it's to control, and in fact, let's just go and have a little look at Zoom, because it basically controls everything that you can do in Zoom. And so if I come into my Zoom settings, so now you can see the benefit of having these predefined layouts, because I can just pop Zoom in here instead now. If you come into the Zoom settings, there is down here keyboard shortcuts. And if you click on keyboard shortcuts, here you can see a list of all of the different keyboard shortcuts that there are in Zoom. Excuse me. So those are all the different things that you can do in Zoom using keyboard shortcuts. Now, what they've got in Stream Deck then, so if I come back to Stream Deck, get Zoom out of the way. Whoops, I'll just get rid of that multi-action. Oh, I forgot I was going to come back and talk about multi-actions, wasn't I, Carly, with Ecamm? But if I come over to Zoom here, so with Zoom, the Zoom plugin that you get for Stream Deck, this one you get anyway. So you don't need any icon pack for these actions here. So where it says, and just by the way, just quickly in case you missed it earlier, to get the Zoom get the Zoom icon pack, because it won't be there by default. Come to the store at the top, just up here. The Stream Deck store. It's called a store, but everything's free. I'm sure at some point they're going to flick a switch and some stuff will be monetizable, but for them or whoever else, third parties. But for the moment, everything in here is free. You click on plugins, and then you click up here and you come to Zoom. Type Zoom, and then you'll see here Zoom plugin. Now I actually said something wrong earlier. I said that Zoom was lazy because they hadn't added in all of the buttons, but actually this isn't even by Zoom. This is by Martin Smith. So it isn't Zoom. Zoom hasn't even bothered making a plugin. This is somebody else has done it. So thank you very much, Martin, for doing that. Then I was there saying that Zoom was lazy. They're actually more lazy than I thought, because they didn't they didn't even make one themselves. So so yeah, you click on here and it would say install. So you'd install the Zoom plugin, and then that will then appear in the right hand column. So you've got all of these different actions like mute. So if you want to toggle the mute on and off, your video on and off, screen sharing, you've got focus. So that is to focus basically means that if you've, it brings Zoom to the front. So if you had been, doing screen sharing, showing something in some other, a Word document or some other part of your screen or something, then pressing focus would just bring Zoom to the front so that you can see it again. Leave meeting, turning on cloud recording, local recording. This one, ask everyone to unmute or mute all participants, and this custom shortcut. So with these ones, you've already got this built in, and so you don't need an icon pack from me or anything just to do these basic things. So you just drag the thing on, and then if I was in a meeting, that would show as either, it would show either like that with a red stripe through it if I was muted, or like that if I was unmuted. Same goes for the video toggle as well, like that. And then, like I say, so when you drag things onto these spots, it will just create all of these different icons. The one for leave meeting is like that. But what I wanted to do with my icon pack is, because there is this thing here of custom shortcut here, and this is a bit of a weird way around it. If you want to run any shortcut in Zoom, if you come back to the Zoom shortcuts in the settings, you can see any of these things, like here. Let me have a look. Show, hide, floating meeting controls. So this one is Control Option Command H. That's when you're in screen sharing in Zoom and you've got those little floating controls that are on the screen. You may want to hide those. So if we wanted to actually program this into Stream Deck, it's Control Option Command H. The only weird thing about it is, rather than actually pressing Control Option Command H, you have to use this notion here. So you'd actually literally have to type out Control plus Option plus Command plus H, like that. It's just a weird way of, you have to actually physically type it out. But then that button now is going to be, when you press that button, it's going to operate that shortcut in Zoom, but crucially, even if Zoom is in the background. So if you've got some other app running, and like I say, you may be demonstrating something in Word, in Safari or whatever it is, but you still want to be able to show and hide these controls, Zoom doesn't have to actually be at the front. So that's how this works. But the issue with this that I had was, if I created another one of these, let's say I just delete this for a moment, and if I created another one of these, so another custom shortcut, now the problem I've got is this might be a completely different shortcut, but these buttons just look the same. And so that's what I created the icon pack for. And the icon pack looks something like this. Whoops, daisy, not that one. That's a slightly modified one. It looks like this. So basically, as well as the, how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's basically 9 built-in actions. Well, then all the rest of this 32 is where I've gone in and just actually pre-programmed all of those keyboard shortcuts for you, for the Mac, I should say. So like this one, minimal window, or this one to change from speaker to gallery view, it's already been sort of pre-programmed with that shortcut. I don't know why it's just not actually showing up down here at the bottom right at this moment. It might be because Zoom's not running actually. Oh no, there you go. So like this one, if you're in the gallery view, for example, I'm often in meetings where there is more than 49 people, and I change the gallery view. You can go from 25 or you can increase it to 49, but I often need to sort of scroll through different pages of people. So these ones are to sort of go next page of people and previous page of people. This one, pop out the chat window. That's one that I, at the start of a meeting, I want to just show the chat. So that one, I've got a little button for that. I've got a similar one for the, sorry, that's the participant list. I've got one for the chat as well, though. And so that's what my Stream Deck icon pack is. It's actually an icon pack, so you get all of the icons just as files, which I'll show you in a minute how to do that from Keynote as well. But I've also created the profile itself. So with Stream Deck, one of the things you can do in here is if you go into here, into the preferences, and then you go into profiles, So these are all the Stream Deck profiles I've got. And then what you can do from here is if you click on the little drop down arrow here, you can say import, and then it will just bring up the little viewer, what do you call it, finder window in Mac somewhere. And in fact, here we go. I've got this one here. So this is Stream Deck. If I come into, let me just find where it is actually for a second. Ecamm Live. No, it's not that one. Just let me. I'll show you just what you actually get in the pack. Then you'll understand what is in there. Zoom icons. So in the zip file that you get with the icon pack, basically it's got all of the individual PNGs for the image files of the icons, but at the bottom it's also got Stream Deck profiles. So it's got a Stream Deck profile for the Stream Deck XL, so with 32 keys with all of the things on it, but then it's also got Stream Deck profiles for the smaller Stream Decks as well, so you can just install the one that you want. And then what that's done is basically saved you the time of typing in all of these commands manually, like the shortcuts manually, and it's got all the icons all there ready. So that's, by the way, another great thing about Stream Deck is just the ability to back up your profiles like in this way. So you can always come in here and just say backup all. Let me just click. I've obviously got something selected somewhere. Oh, I'll tell you what it is. I was trying to import the profile, wasn't I? So from here, you can back up everything. So back up all of your profiles. So definitely once you've got things as you want them, I'd definitely recommend doing that and do it fairly regularly as you go through, you know, like, oh, well, on a monthly basis or something, depending on how often you change them. But you can also import and export your profiles, and you can also do that on an individual basis. So like here, when I created this Zoom profile, I just went in here and then I could come here and say export. So you can export an individual profile. So if you want to share a profile with somebody, you can do that from there. Just coming back to that Keynote thing though, and creating icons in Keynote, if I can find my right spot, here we go. From Keynote, once you've created these slides, I say slides, they're icons, aren't they? But you know what I mean. And by the way, you can select different backgrounds. So if you come into the document, I beg your pardon, not the document, just click in anywhere here. Where would it be? Format, edit slide master. Within the slide master, you could create different sort of colored backgrounds depending on the icons that you were creating. So I've got a different set of different sort of stock backgrounds in the slide master, so that if I want to create a new one and I come to here, add slide, then I can just choose one of these predefined sort of background colors and so on. But once you have got them all in here, you might prefer to have the view, let me have a look, the navigator view like this. So say I wanted to export this batch. I've got one for YouTube as well. I set that's this YouTube one, by the way, this profile that I created for Stream Deck, it does use Keyboard Maestro, but what that allows you to do is control YouTube even when YouTube isn't the frontmost application. And that was useful for me because I do study at the University of YouTube myself. So I'm often trying to learn something and I'm watching the YouTube video. It's in the YouTube player on the desktop. But what that means is if I want to sort of pause something, then I've got to come out of the application that I'm learning and then go to the YouTube and then press play or pause and then come back to the other one. Whereas this just allowed me to sort of play and pause in the background. But to do that, you have to use Keyboard Maestro, which allows you to activate menu commands in other applications in the background. But anyway, I digress. But let's say I wanted to export these. Then all you do is go to File, Export to, and then Image. And then in the images, you can just select the sort of range. So if that's, so what's that? 53 to, let's say 53 to 55. Let's say I just wanted to export those particular icons. So you just enter the sort of range of slides, although these are the icons that you're going to export, and then just click next, and then it will export them and export them to PNG or JPEG or whatever you want. But then it will just basically put those all in a folder. So you end up just with a folder with all of the icons. You could go in and rename them, obviously, if you wanted. Yeah, or you could just know that they're all there in your Zoom icons or whatever application you are creating for. And yeah, they're just all there as individual files then, and so that just looks like a group of PNGs in your Finder to be able to use wherever you want. So that is how I make my icons. I've gone a little bit. I wasn't intending to cover icons, but it is a useful tool that people have, because it's one of the things that I found difficult with Stream Deck is actually finding decent icons. I'll show you another way though, just while we're talking about icons, because this is one thing that is quite good on the Stream Deck. I'll show you one thing that's not very good on the Stream Deck. If you come to any of these particular things and you've got the icon, you can just drag and drop an icon onto this spot. By the way, even now, I still try and drag an icon onto the button itself, because somehow it feels like that sounds quite intuitive that you just drop it onto the icon itself. But no, you have to actually drop it onto this area down here. But they've got this option here. If you click on plus, it will bring up your Stream Deck icon library, which I'll come to in a moment. Or this one, you can either set from file, so that will pick up a particular file. You can create a new icon. That is the first thing that I clicked, because I thought, great, they've got some way for me to create a new icon. This is, unless they've changed it in the last, I haven't looked at it in months, but it says here, let's have a little look. In fact, this is their own sort of icon maker, which, to be honest, I'm not that hot on. So they've got this thing here which says make your own Stream Deck icon, and it's got just a series of different glyphs and stuff like that. You can add text and backgrounds to it, but it's just such a kludgy way of doing it, and yeah, I don't find this very intuitive at all. If Keynote is by far, for me, easier to make icons than in this thing, and you're limited with what you can add onto it. And so yeah, I don't reckon that's worth much of a look, to be honest. So that was this one here where it said create new icon. Not much for that. Open Stream Deck icon library. So this is, you've got some built-in Stream Deck icons. So these are ones that it just gives you to start with. So you might find something in there that is useful for something, but it is limited. And I think it is related to the fact that, you know, this is intended as a live streaming device. So you're not going to find any in the Elgato library for, you know, controlling Microsoft Excel, for example. It's just not what it was intended for, although it can do a really good job at some things like that. But there are these other icon packs you can get. Now this is, let me show you where to find these, because there's some really great ones. I forget the name of the website. I'll know it in as soon as I see these icon packs. Who've just got a whole massive range of icon packs for all sorts of different things. So if you come over to, this is back into the store, and then come into icons. Let me have a little look for what this company's called, because they have got some great icons. Sideshow FX. Let me load them up, because they make icon packs too. Sideshow FX. Right, I'll come over to... so basically, Sideshow FX, let me show you their website, because it's a pretty nice. So they make icons like this. And they make icons for lots of different programs. So you can see down the right-hand side, Ableton Live, Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, After Effects, Audition, Blender, Cakewalk. They've got all these different apps, and they've made icons for them. So definitely check out them as well. Let me just grab this URL quickly, and I'll just drop that in the chat, because that's another great resource for icons. And like, if you buy their Photoshop one, let's just have a look at their, in fact, let's look at Adobe Illustrator, because it's right there. If I go to their Adobe Illustrator icon pack, there you go, look, it is 660 plus. I don't know if that means 662, but anyway, it's 660 icons, $34.99 for Adobe Illustrator. So it's got loads of icons in there, and they've got other ones for other devices. So they've got one for Loupe Deck as well. I'm not sure what the difference is between that, because that's 630. I'm not sure what the difference is there compared to the Stream Deck one. But in any case, they've got these different icon packs for, and that one's actually a bit cheaper. That one's $20. So they've got these icon packs, all really nicely designed and everything as well. So those are paid from Sideshow FX. Well, when Ecamm Live introduced their Ecamm store, where people could add, third parties could add in their stuff, you'll notice that Sideshow FX have actually been adding their stuff into here, but they're free. But basically what it is you're not getting the full icon pack, but you're still getting some really great icons. So Photoshop, there's a free pack of 70 icons to be used for Stream Deck. And all you do is you just come here and then you can just click on install, and it'll install these icon packs. Then you just get this little pop-up like that. Do you want to install it? Click on yes. And then that will install it in that icon library that you've got on Stream Deck. Here I've got the Premiere Pro one installed. I don't really use Premiere Pro except that it's on my Mac, but I did just want to try these out. So here you'll see the Premiere Pro icon pack. Again, the full Premiere Pro icon pack, and here we go, the Photoshop, the one that we've just downloaded. So the full Photoshop icon pack on the Sideshow FX is, what is it? I forget what the Photoshop one is. Let's say it's $20, $30, $15, whatever it is for all those 600. Well, you do get free in the store. You get all of these different ones here. So you might well find that for some of these apps, if you go and look in the store, some of them are a bit crappy, for want of a better word. Not these ones. I mean, some of the other icon packs that are in there. But these ones, you're actually getting some really high quality, professional grade icons that are free. So definitely check out the store and see if there's any of these apps that you use. So Sideshow FX have been good. They've got the Photoshop one. They've got their Blade. Premiere is in there as well, Premiere Pro. Let's have a little look what else they've got. DaVinci Resolve, they've got their DaVinci Resolve one. And it's like they're giving you 70 icons, basically. And obviously, the idea is that you're going to try these and want some of their other ones, but you never know. You may have everything you need in these free ones. Metal Armor, not sure what that is, actually. Superhero icon pack for games. After Effects. In fact, looking at these, most of these are actually Sideshow FX. Illustrator. I don't know why I've not got the Illustrator one installed. Let me install that right now. I think they've added a few more, obviously, since I last looked. Affinity, Photo, Final Cut Pro icon pack. There you go. I know there's a few Final Cut Pro users in here. So a Final Cut Pro icon pack. Let's just have a look what's in there, because I do know that we've got some Final Cut users in the chat. So let's go and have a look at that. So you just click on that to install them. And then if I close out of here, so now we should have Final Cut. Look at that. There you go. You got all those different icons custom made for Final Cut for free. I think that's really good, to be honest, of Sideshow FX to do that, to put those in, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that will think like this is, if they're not using absolutely all of the features, I'm sure this covers most of the basic things, and they're all really nice looking icons. I don't like the writing on them. That's my only issue. I prefer icons where I just recognize what they are without any text on them, because small text tends to disappear a little bit. But I'm being picky here. These look great. So yeah, that is a great little resource for icons. Let me have a look. Hey, Rich, great to see you sneaking in at the back. Yeah, backing up Stream Deck profiles definitely got to be done. I'm co-teaching classes with another person and need to spotlight her, then me, then take the spot off the spotlight. Need a way to do it quicker and easier as I'm monitoring the chat. Oh, if this is in Zoom. If this is in Zoom, this is a little bit of a thing for me. I'm trying to find a way to do the spotlight with a shortcut. There isn't a button to do that, and there isn't a shortcut that you can use to have it sort of preset so that you can spotlight a specific person. Somebody else has asked me about this, and I've been trying to do it myself as well. So I'll move it up my priorities list now that no other people are interested. But yeah, having a button to spotlight specific people is something that I'm definitely working on as well. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I'll be making a video about it as soon as I figure it out, so don't worry about that. It'll come soon. Let's have a little look. And oh, hey, I've probably missed you now, but good night, Jeff. I appreciate you showing up, especially with the clocks changing in the UK now. It's even later for you, so yeah, I appreciate you showing up. I am rather, aren't I? I'm. I should have split this out into 20 different videos to. Let's have a little look. There's an unlabeled set in there too. Is that for? What were we just talking about? Final Cut, is that? Let me have a little look in the icons, if that's what you were talking about. I think there's been more. To be honest, I think they've added more in here since I last looked at it. So yeah. Oh, hey, Michael. I've just noticed you as well. Great to see you here as well. And yeah, appreciate people staying up late. Or perhaps you're not. Perhaps you're a. It always seems late to me. I mean, I go to bed at like when I look at the clock and it says 6:30 in the afternoon. I'm thinking, it's nearly bedtime. If I'm not in bed by 8, I'm feeling like I'm having a very late night. But then I get up at 3, so yeah, I can't just see them now. I've been talking and scrolling at the same time. But yeah, there's some great icon packs in there anyway. So yeah, about that Zoom thing, I'll definitely be looking into that. I don't think there's going to be a sort of really totally easy way of doing it. There'll be a way that I can do it with Keyboard Maestro, because you can do pretty much anything with that. But I wanted to find something that was a little bit more easy to do. But yeah, I'll have to look into how to doing that. Let me have a little look. Well, I've started doing little plans for my live stream so that I don't go off topic, and I've just totally missed my my topic for here and gone quite off on several tangents. But I think I covered everything I was intending to cover about Stream Deck and Loupe Deck. It was basically about the the differences in the user interfaces and stuff like that. I think I've covered off most of that. I really do love the Loupe Deck once it's set up. I just found the interface, just in summary. I just found the interface. I really like the form factor of it. I like the dials and things like that to be able to control things. So I do find value in it. I'm glad I didn't send it back now, but it just took 3.5 months for me to actually move with it. And I'm like total tech nerd, want to dig into these things, try everything out, try all of the buttons. But yeah, it's I'm glad that I have got it as an addition now. And this is also another bit of tech gear that is on my list of things to that is still on my list of things, is a Rodecaster Pro, which I don't have. I just use my Shure MV7 over USB into my computer. And I always had this idea. The reason why I got the Shure MV7 was because it's got USB and it's also got XLR. And when I started doing my channel, I was like, well, it won't be long before I get a Rodecaster, because you know all the people in the Ecamm group and Let's Get Live group have got the Rodecaster Pro. So I figured that it would just work its way up onto my desk somehow, but it never really has, because I'm not really doing things where I'm mixing multiple mics or anything like that. It's just basically me. The only thing that I saw as an advantage to it was, you know, having the sliders to be able to fade things in and out. Not that I really have loads of tunes going on in the background or anything like that, but this basically sort of it's completely removed me needing to have one. That doesn't mean to say that that little tech devil on my shoulder won't tell me that I need one for some other reason, but now basically, you know, the buttons that you have on the Rodecaster you can now simulate with the buttons on the Stream Deck to play sound effects and things like that, and then the dials on here can simulate, you know, turning my levels up and down. Whoops a daisy, I'm doing my screen zoom instead. This is the one that I wanted for my mic, so I can now fade my mic in and out. If I wanted to play some music, I could play that in and out with the dials here as well, and again, like when I'm on interview, when I do interview mode, then I can control the volume of my guests on here as well. So it's pretty good for mixing, and it does mean I don't have like a big Rodecaster taking up my desk as well. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to cover today. And I have actually got another live stream in 2 hours, because I am doing Cedar. I create every day in April, and so this month I've set myself the task of making 200 videos. which I may live to regret. But that's because I've got my my 1 year anniversary on YouTube is coming up on the 14th of May, and I set myself the target of making 365 videos in my first year, and I'm basically 143 is what I've got to make in the next 43 days. So I'm going to make those in April and then schedule them to go out. But I'm also wanting to get back into making shorts, which I don't really count towards my my total in any case. So I'd like to make 2 months worth of shorts, like one going out a day. But one of the ways that I'm doing this, and one of the things I'm doing for this, is that I am doing a live stream every day, specifically as a sort of content creation vlog. So that will be at, well, in 2 hours from now, whatever time that is, wherever everyone is, at 9 a.m. my time here in Thailand. And so yeah, I'm signing off now, but then I'm going to make a number of shorts, and then I will be back on in 2 hours to give my my sort of daily vlog update. Thanks for all coming and hanging out. It's been a real pleasure, and it's great to get to all the questions and stuff like that. And it's much better than me just sitting and talking through a list of things that I wanted to cover. I feel much better when I feel like people have got questions that I've been able to perhaps answer to some extent, and some that I need to get back to people on. But yeah, thanks for... Oh, just one quick thing I'll mention before I go, because I did mention that I would talk about it. Other multi-action that I've got for Ecamm Live. So as well as my end screen multi-action, I have got this one that is here. This is for my sort of go around again button. When I do my recordings, although I make all my videos in one take for my regular videos, not the lives, the regular videos that I make in one take, but it's not always the first take, so sometimes I screw up my beginning. So I created this multi-action here, which basically, when you end a video on Ecamm Live, you get this little pop-up that it processes the video, and then you get a pop-up to say, do you want to go and publish this video to YouTube, or do you want to go and see the where the video file is on your Finder, or do you want to just like click OK to cancel this this message? So I created a multi-action which is on my Stream Deck here. It's this one that looks like this little recycling arrow, but basically what that does is that means, like, if I start my video and I say, in today's video, I'm going to cover X, Y, and Z, and I screw up that part of it, which is the part that I will screw up if I screw up anything. Once I've actually got into the flow of the video, I don't have any problem with that. But I often, you know, at the beginning, I think, oh, I haven't really thought about what to say. So I have this one here, which the first step is it presses the Go Live button, which, if you are actually already recording, is the End Recording button. I've then got a delay of just a couple of seconds because when you end a recording in Ecamm Live, there's a little bit of processing time, and then it presses the Go Live button again, because some people don't realize, it's not obvious at all, that when you press this Go Live button, if you have got that little pop-up on the screen, it will actually dismiss that. So by having these three things together, it means that if I've gone here and I press my little record button to start recording, and then I screw up the beginning, pressing this button will basically end the recording, wait 2 seconds, dismiss that little pop-up, and so then I'm just ready to press record again. So that was the other little multi-action that I wanted to mention. Just, I know Carly was asking about, or had mentioned about the end screen multi-action. There's another one I've got on here for Ecamm, but I can't just remember what it is now. It will come to me. But anyway, so that is for now. That is all from me for now. But I will be back a little bit later. Thanks again for all coming and hanging out. And yeah, I will catch you all soon. And now I'm going to press my multi-action. It is a dangerous button when you're live, Rich. Yes, I try and avoid it. I don't stand too close to it. Okie dokie. I'll catch you all a little bit later. Thanks again for stopping by. I'll press my end button now. And if you're watching on the replay, of course, don't forget to stay and check out all of these great videos that are coming up next.